Welcome to the Locker Room Podcast, a Southland Christian Church podcast for men. We're redeeming men's conversations, talking about the right things in the right ways, and creating a culture of strong, godly men who fight for what matters most. Thanks for joining us today. Let's jump in.
Well, hey, Locker Room. My name's Scott Hatfield. It's an honor to get to host this podcast, and the reason we do it is to encourage, equip, and empower men to fight for the most important things. Wrapping up a heck of a season with a heck of a guest, Locker Room, Jon Jon Weece.
Hey, Ron.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Good, man.
Never been introduced that way.
Yeah, well, you know what? Not everybody knows your middle name, So when you hear your middle name, do you feel like you're getting in trouble? Did your mom used to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My middle name's Allen, so if I ever heard Scott Allen, it's like it always
Run.
Run. Scott Allen, get here, get out of that tree, whatever that is. And so, hey, so today we're wrapping it up, season 15, and what we're not doing today is we're not going to go, hey, like, how's your transition going? How do you feel? What's going on with your feelings?
Thank you.
We're not going to talk about your next role as a professional hunter, a dance instructor, and a hand model. I didn't know you were going to be able to do all three of those things, but you can tell them later, but maybe, in church or whatever. But I'm not going to ask you about your feelings. We're going to do a little wrap up of season 15, and then we're just going to have some fun. And
I get nervous coming on here with you because I never know.
I'm going to talk about that in a little bit.
Here we go.
I know. Right. So we'll start with a wrap up, right? We'll do this. Okay. We'll do this together. Again, whether you've listened to all these or not, we've done 3 series along the way. The first one was a leadership series. I did a solo called Follow the Leader. We talked about studying the blueprint, carry heavy things, walk a path for others to follow. We did nuts and bolts of leadership it was on Proverbs with Scott Nickel. We did Cultivating Faithfulness with the legend Ernie Colburn, who just had a birthday in October. Happy birthday, big guy. And then Leadership Lessons with Weece, 16 leadership lessons. And then we went right in from that to In the Fire, and we talked about anger. Parker was on. Purity, Connor was on. Lies, Alan Connor was on. He's a counselor that we refer a lot of people to. Love him. And then Unforgiveness. We talked about that with Gary Black, who's always awesome. And then we did a 5-part series called Share Good News, Called to Go. We had Bart Stone, my first virtual one.
That's
a buddy
awesome.
from Georgia. He did such a great job setting the tone for this series. The second one was called Gospel Conversations. The next one was called Practical Tools for Gospel Conversations. Week 4 was the power of your story, just the idea of how important our testimonies are and how we can incorporate that into how we love people that are far from God. And then the last one was your work is your mission field. It's not your only mission field, but it's a big part of it. You spend 8 to 10 hours a day there, 5 days a week, and there's a lot of people there, and God calls us to take the gospel in there, whatever that looks like. And I had Matt Hall, Yancey Markham, and Jordan Heflin on. And then last week, we did just a standalone with Ross Burnett called Man of God, which he was very uncomfortable with the title. I'm like, hey, you are, we all are, and only by the grace of God that we are. But you don't get a chance to hear all these, but any thoughts or anything that, if you were able to hear some of me, anything came to mind for you as you thought through this last season?
Well, obviously, you had a lot of people on that I love and respect, so that's always fun to hear their perspective, and I think it's good to make some of them uncomfortable because they avoid the spotlight, which is part of the reason we love them. I think the one that stood out to me was the one you kind of preemptively came in my office and talked me through. The one where you talked about your dad and your brother.
Gospel Conversation.
Yeah, I just, I knew them and remember you for years praying and talking with them. So I guess
you were at my brother's funeral.
Yeah, and just hearing the story again, but also seeing you over the years. It's like, you and I have kind of had a parallel existence in terms of marriage, parenting, ministry. Yeah. And so we've both grown up together in a lot of ways. So I know you don't need to hear this from me, but man, I'm just proud of you and love you for how you loved your family. And you've been through a lot of hard stuff. And you're still standing and still leading and serving and going strong. And so I don't know. That one meant the world to me.
Yeah, that's the hardest one I've ever done. No, I appreciate that. I know you I didn't know that you'd listened to one with Alan Connor too. You just were like, man, that was so good. And
Alan's one of those guys that he's so laid back and quiet, you wouldn't know it, but he's just a gold mine of practical insight.
He is.
Through his own pain, a lot of it, but also through just sitting across from probably thousands of people at this point and helping them navigate their lives, So God's definitely blessed our community with Alan Connor.
Yeah, the leadership series, I just wanted to do that because I think we can all take steps, be better. The gospel mandate, the biblical mandate on being intentional with how we lead ourselves, how we lead our homes, how we, just practical things that we can do every day as it relates to our rhythms and habits and things like that. Everybody was great in that season. My favorite podcast of the season was having Ernie Colburn on, and like I said, he just turned 86. He's been married 65 years, and I could say hundreds of things about just how much he's meant to us, to you, to our church, and he's the best. He's so humble. So that was an honor. The In the Fire series was really just kind of, my mindset was the fire. The enemy can use it to destroy us, to bring harm to us and those that we care about. And those areas of anger and purity and lies and unforgiveness are just really big pain points. And so the enemy wants to leverage that to harm us, but God wants to use those things to transform us and heal us. And so that's where we win. That's why we went after those things. And as I was kind of digging through that series, you do this with you and Scott do this with the weekends, sermon series and things like that. But I kept thinking about that forging process of blacksmiths and swordsmiths and bladesmiths, and so I just kept looking and searching, trying to understand more and more, because that's a painful process. If you're a piece of steel, you're heated to extreme temperatures, your properties change, and then you're set on an anvil, and either it's a hammer that's pounding you, or you're being stretched, and it's obviously it's an inanimate object, but if it had feelings, it would scream out. And so then from there, it's plunged into really cold water and hardens it, and then you do that process again and again. And I saw an interview with one of these blacksmiths, and they said, "How do you know that? How do you know when you're done? Because sometimes it's a tool they're making, or a sword, or a piece of art." And this guy was particularly talking about a sword. He said, when he's asked, "How do you know when you're done?" He said, "You know when you're done when you can look into it and you can see your reflection." And I thought that preaches.
That'll preach, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
All the things that we go through, the things that happen to us, the things that we're in battles for, what God is trying to do in that process is to redeem and to heal and transform us, so that when Jesus looks at us, he sees himself. Yeah. And that's our goal. That's our aim. He's our leader, and we want to become more like him. And so God wants to use those hard things in our lives to do that. And everybody was great in that series too. And then the last one was Share Good News. And obviously our church is reaching people. We have new guests every week. Our baptistries are full. We had 19 this past weekend. I got to do one with a former student of mine that I did student ministry for, her
Very
daughter,
cool. Very cool.
Which was awesome. But I know that sometimes people are a little bit more cautious, or maybe they don't know exactly what they can do, and maybe they only think, well, I can just invite them to church. It's like, no, God's given you so much more than that. So that's why we dug out those things. And again, the second week wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. I was going to have Byerly on, and Byerly couldn't do it. And then I asked Ian to come on, and he was out of town. So it was like the Lord was like, hey, just do this. And so I told those stories of those gospel conversations that led me to the Lord, which were so critical, and my life is totally different because of it. And then the one to walk through that with my brother. If you hadn't heard it, you should listen to it. But he passes away at age 27, and I had a significant conversation with him, laying it all out there, and not knowing where he ended up, with the Lord, but when he was killed. But it's hard. And then more recently with my dad, he just passed away in August, and God is just he's been sweet to me, and to watch my dad grow and soften and
it's an unbelievable story.
I mean, and so, and there was tons of funny stuff that we haven't talked about in the funeral and stuff like that. But it was so good, and even just having Clay and Aaron Ross on to talk about their stories, and then the last one, Your Workplace is Your Mission Field, Matt and Yancey and Jordan Heflin, so different situations. They're in different work environments. The spiritual climate's different. It was just great hearing them talk about how they bring light into their environments, and not all of them can just, not all of them it's super Jesus friendly, but they just do it anyway. And I'm grateful for that. And I think that's encouraging, because everybody listens to this. Very few of us have a job like us where we're just around Christians. We're not worried about being persecuted inside. But everybody else it's an away game, and so regardless of what it looks like. So, and then the last one was Ross Burnett, and he was awesome. I wanted to have him on. We just it hadn't worked out. I'm sure I'll have him on a billion times more, but we had 4 characteristics of a godly man. We talked about fully devoted, responsible, intentional, and resilient. And so we hit those things.
He's all those things.
He's the best. Yeah. So again, locker room, thanks for all your encouragement on this season. I hope the locker room groups have been solid. I hope your discussions have been good with other men. I hope you're growing. That's our heart for all of this. And so as we wrap up, I want to wrap up differently. I buzzed you last week. Had to move some things around. I didn't like that series, so I wanted to wait and didn't want to do it for 3 more times. This is 15 episodes in season 15, so it's plenty. But I said, hey, man, I know you're super busy. You got a lot going on trying to finish this transition. If you can, it's all good, And then you were like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, wide open, man. What do you want to do? And so you said, hey, let's do something simple. Let's take a few areas and let's go back and forth. Yeah. And so let's ask some questions and then let's both answer them. And so locker room, this is a little inside baseball from what that statement that he said means. Weece knows me. He's already mentioned this. He loves me, but I'm creative and I'm sneaky and I'm courageous. And I didn't do anything extra, nothing extra. But there, every time we just laugh a lot. But there's a quick story when he turned 50. Our church, our staff put on this big surprise that you hated. But you walk into Building B.
I had no idea. It's really hard to surprise me, but you got me. Yeah, you got me. And then I had to be on stage with you.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody goes nuts. You're like, oh my gosh, your wife's there, and I bring you on stage, and you are so uncomfortable. you took your gum out and put it in my coffee. It was funny, but you don't know where this is going to go. And I'm like, look, man, Daddy's got you.
And I knew better. I knew. I was like, dude, he's going to wear me out.
But we did this monologue, and then we played this Jon Weece game, and our staff, it was so fun and so funny. But so I get it. I totally get it. And you hated every second of it, and it was awesome. But I know this about you. You're not interested in making this about you. You don't care about some send-off. And I know sometimes people go, that's false humility. Come, please bring all that you got. And that's not you. You're not interested in any living funerals. You've always been this way. I love that about you. So instead of me just firing questions at you, we create some questions that we can go back and forth.
Sure, sounds good.
So that's it. Hands are clean. I promise.
I trust
nothing.
You. Otherwise, I'm walking. Middle of this would be the first locker room someone quits.
This could be a short one. So first question. We're just going to get in the water. It's fun. Well, who's your favorite athlete growing up and why?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it depends.
And any sport.
Yeah, so if you came in my bedroom as a kid, one wall had baseball posters.
Okay.
And on that wall, I had George Brett from the Kansas City Royals and I had Ozzie Smith from the St. Louis Cardinals. So growing up in Missouri, my hometown was between both teams. I leaned towards the Cardinals growing up, but my dad was the pastor for the Royals.
Jeez.
And so, we knew Brett personally and saw him come to faith. And he is what you think. He's hysterical. He's one of the funniest people and a great locker room guy and could hit. He almost hit 400, and I was a part of that as a kid, just sitting on the edge of my seat hoping he would get there. Yeah. So that's one wall. Yeah. Another wall was basketball. So the basketball wall had 4 posters on it, and they were kind of overlaid because my bedroom was tiny.
Yeah, right. Did you have to share a bedroom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had Dr. J.
Yeah.
Who
with the fro?
Yeah, man. I just, growing up, I loved watching him play. He and Mo Cheeks. Yep. And I had a Larry Bird poster just because he was an icon back in the day. And I wasn't a big Lakers fan. I wasn't necessarily a huge Celtics fan. I didn't like the Lakers as much. Obviously, I had Jordan. Everybody had Michael Jordan. And then Spud Webb.
Spud Webb, nice.
Dude, I bought a Spud Webb poster because he was 5'7", and I think at the time I was probably like 5'1" or 5'2". When he was popular, and I just remember thinking, man, when I get to 5'7", it's going to be possible for me to dunk.
It's dunk time.
Nope, not at all. And then on the football side, I just had one. I had Tony Dorsett.
Oh, very cool.
And so,
33.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I wrote him a handwritten letter. My brothers made fun of me, but he responded. And he sent me an autographed picture. And so
You sure your parents didn't do that?
Dude, no, it was him. So that's great. So then I started writing.
Your brothers.
They were wearing me out as I was doing it. Like, dude, no, he ain't going to write back.
Yeah.
Well, when he did, they were like, holy cow. Yeah. So I started writing every pro athlete I could. I have an unbelievable autograph collection.
So a lot of people responded?
Yeah, tons. Yeah. It's funny because when you're a kid, I think they just sign something and drop it in the mail. Probably a publicist sends it,
Yeah.
Well, last week, we went to interview a couple at Southland for my next sermon on marriage, and they're a couple I married a long time ago, and the husband reached out to Tony Dorsett without me knowing it because he knew I had that autograph from when I was a kid. And Dorsett autographed a football card for me and just said, finish well.
Oh, man.
And signed it. I was like, what in the world, man? So that was so cool. So I don't have the Dorsett poster anymore, but I got another Dorsett autograph.
So cool,
yeah,
man.
I mean, those were my guys back in the day. I mean, I loved every sport. I remember watching Carl Lewis in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And just thinking,
yeah,
man, he runs faster than most cars. Like, I didn't have a category for it. But it didn't matter. I just loved sports when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Locker room, just so you know, I asked the question, who was your favorite athlete? And Weece just gave us about 19 of his favorite
Sorry,
athletes.
I can't name one.
That's good.
Who was yours growing up?
So I just went with one. There's plenty, but University of Kentucky Wildcat, Rex Chapman.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We had a King of Bluegrass tournament at our high school, Fairdoe High School, a holiday tournament in December. And in that tournament, lots of different athletes that ended up going to college and also in the pros. But one of them was Felton Spencer. He was there. They wore Chuck Taylors back in the day. Like, he was out of shape. And when he got to the University of Louisville, I mean, they just did a number on him. He became a great player there. But Rex was there. They came in. Apollo was there. I sat almost midcourt, and I had never seen an athlete like him.
Mm-hmm.
I was mesmerized. And he's several years older. You know, I think he was probably in 8th grade when he came. He was probably a junior, senior. I think he was a senior. But my goodness, man. I mean, just watching him play. And then, because basketball was my favorite sport at the time. And so, when you play, it's funny, we play, a lot of black athletes that I played with and things. So we're always giving each other nicknames. And I remember at one point I did something and somebody said, Rex. And I was like, there couldn't be a better name
than Rex.
That. Yeah. So it didn't stick.
It's funny when you're a kid and you get close to the real deal. I remember I was a ball boy for Mizzou, and Anthony Peeler was in high school at the time, and the state championships. So I was working the state championships, and his high school was playing East St. Louis Vashon, which was a powerhouse. Yeah. And Peeler was 6'6", lefty, and could just float. Okay. And he came down the lane and dunked, and I'm sitting on the sitting right there. Yeah. Never seen anything like that, man. Yeah. Just the quick ups, the speed, and thinking, I'm never going to be Anthony Peeler. And then he went on to play for the Lakers. And so anyway,
That's wild. All right, different question. What's the maddest you've ever made your parents? What did you do? And what happened to you?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've made my parents mad a bunch over the years, especially when I was younger. But my dad one time bought my mom a Christmas gift.
Okay.
And he told me about it. And he said, "That's a secret. She doesn't know about it, and I don't want her to know about it." And he had this little closet in our garage where he kept all of his tools. Yeah. And he'd wrapped it up. It was like some kind of kettle or something. It was an antique. And he'd wrapped it up in a towel, and he put it in there. I told my mom. I not only told her, I went and got it and brought it in and showed it to her.
Gosh, what a knucklehead.
I know. I don't know what I was thinking. My dad, I think he wanted to murder me. I think my mom saved my life. Yeah. I mean, seriously, because when he found out about it, he was so mad. It was the one gift he got my mom. Doesn't have a lot of money. Yeah. Wanted it to be a secret. I ruined the surprise. I ruined all of it. Yeah. My mom, when I was probably 6, I begged him for an NFL coat. Okay. And so again, my parents weren't wealthy, and I got one big gift. Well, that was my big gift. They got it for me. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like a leather jacket, had like a wool front, but then it had these puffy sleeves, Right. I go outside, and my brothers had gotten BB guns for Christmas, and they're like, "Hey, run back and forth in the backyard." And so they're sitting behind the air conditioning unit just shooting me, lighting me up. And I couldn't feel it because the coat was so thick, and they thought that was awesome. Well, when we go inside, there's just holes.
Oh no!
All over the sleeves.
You couldn't feel it, but you took damage.
Yeah, in the front, nothing because it was wool, but the sleeves of that puffy material, and it just looked like someone had just taken an ice pick and stabbed the sleeves. Oh, so for a couple of days, I had to hide it in my closet, and then I was like, I'll cut the sleeves off and turn it into a vest. So it's middle of winter, so I come down for breakfast one morning, and I've got a sweatshirt on underneath it.
Yeah.
And I'm
kind of trying to hide it. Maybe
yeah,
that's
and I remember my
mom's
the look on her face, like, "What have you?" I just turned into a sleeveless coat.
Yeah,
she wanted to murder me. My dad said, "Well, my dad got tickled by it."
Did he?
But he made me wear that. I had to wear that for the rest of winter. I didn't have a coat, so half the time I was freezing, on the school bus or wherever, playground. Yeah. But
your mom
consequences.
Thought, man, did you follow the dumb tree and hit every branch?
I did. Well, the boy brain.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
We're so dumb.
But I mean, there's a lot worse than that. Yeah. I got in so much trouble.
Yeah.
What about you?
So there was a time, my brother Jeremy and I, we fought all the time. And there was one particular time where we had gone grocery shopping with my mom, put all the groceries in the back of the Ford Granada, and we wanted to get, it was a sweet ride, let me tell you. But we took turns as far as who got to sit in the front. And I'm the older brother, so, I was trying to get in, and my brother was fighting me about that. It's 4 doors. And my mom was so mad at it. She's like, both of you sit in the back, And so I'm sitting in the back behind her. My brother's sitting in the back seat, shotgun side. And it's funny how you fight over the stupidest things, but like territory, like there's an imaginary line.
Don't cross this,
and it's just my brother and I. And so I don't even know what that would look like for you guys with all of your siblings, but like my brother would just slide his hand over, and I'd punch him, and then he'd hit me or whatever. I'm like, and my mom would get mad, and then all of a sudden we're just thrown down. I mean, we didn't even wear, you didn't wear seatbelts back then, so it's like we're tussling right there in the back seat. And my mom's screaming. She got her back, she's swinging her heads like, she's screaming, and so finally we get set. She threatens us with an inch of her life, and so she gets to our driveway and she backs up, and the driveway's right here, and I've got a basketball goal right here with a pole, and as she's backing up, my brother decides, I'm going to get one shot and get out of here. And so as she's backing up, he hits me in the face. He opens up the door, rolls out, bails out. And my mom doesn't know what's going on because she's looking in her mirror to make sure, because our driveway's not very big. And so she's trying to make sure she stays on. And she keeps going. And my brother's door was open. And when she got to the
basketball court.
Yeah, it ripped it forward. And because it was out, and then she hits this, and it just keeps going, and the back door touches the front door, and my mom realizes what happened. She throws in park. She starts screaming. I think my mom went insane temporarily. And I mean, I get out of the car. We're I don't know how old we were. It was like probably 11 and 8 or 7, and she's running after us. She can't catch us, but she's screaming, "You come over here! You come on!" I mean, and I know that there are people outside there like that. I don't know what those boys did.
Something's wrong.
But she's lost it. And so when my dad, I don't even know how they got this car fixed. I mean, because you can't close the door.
Yeah,
it won't close all the way
bend
down.
it. Yeah,
yeah, it's bad. So my dad wore us out.
Your brother was a pretty big boy too.
Yeah, he was 6'5" when he passed away.
When did you stop fighting him? About that time when he got to 6'5"?
My last, he wasn't quite that tall, but our last whipping, my brother and I got in a fight. I was 17, so he'd have been like 14, and we put like 4 holes in the drywall in the hallway. And when my dad got home, it was
on
game time. Yeah, last paddling. I was 17, man. Yeah, it was wild, really wild. We'll shift. I know that this fun fact about you is that you love hymns. Allison's told me that forever.
Songs.
Hymns
Yeah. I looked at you like, what are you talking about?
Hymns, HYM. I'm like, man, did I talk to? Anyway, but 2 of your favorite hymns and why?
Oh man, I
know
I love a lot of hymns. I love them because the writing is so good. Mm-hmm. I love them because I grew up with them.
Yeah.
So there's a memory associated with them anytime I hear them. But then they also sustain me when I lived in Haiti. So, I wasn't around English-speaking music. And, so every once in a while just to be able to be still and sing or to recall the promises of those songs. So, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. What a foretaste of glory divine. Heir of salvation, purchased of God, born of his spirit, washed in his blood. Powerful, I think about the old song at Calvary. Our mercy there was great and grace was free. Pardon there was multiplied to me. There my burdened soul found liberty at Calvary. Those types of lines and verses, they just stay in your head. What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Yeah, those sustain me. I'd say scripture above that, but right under that would be some of the lyrics of those songs for sure. Love them to this day.
That's good. It was hard. I mean, we don't sing them all the time, and I got plenty of favorite worship. We could have went lots of different directions, but it's a hard one because I didn't grow up in church, but we definitely sang some of those songs. And then my first internship, we were at a small church in Irvine, Kentucky called River Drive. They just celebrated 65 years this past weekend, which was cool. But we sang a lot of hymns, and so I learned some of those as a Bible college student in my first internship, And it's hard to kind of figure how do you go down to 2? And so the 2 I had was it's not going to be a surprise. It's probably a lot of people immediately thought this one, but it's Amazing Grace. Every verse is packed with so much authenticity. It tells the universal story that I was once lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. And then I love the second verse. It speaks of kind of when we first were exposed to God's grace. It says, "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved." How precious did that grace appear? I mean, I remember my life and going, I can't believe how much Jesus loves me, and he knows me. And it says, the hour I first believed. And so it just takes me back to that. Third verse is about the hope and grace that God gives us now. And he says, the Lord hath promised good to me, which his intentions for me are good. He's good, and his intentions for me are good. And it's his word my hope secures. I can trust him. He will be my shield and portion, be as long as life endures. So no matter what. And then the last verse is this picture of eternity. It says, we get to the fourth verse when we sing it in church. It's like the volume raises, maybe the key changes. I don't know. I've just got one key and we're just going with it. But eternity just kind of ushers into our hearts. And he says, when we've been there 10,000 years, which is a long time, bright shining as the sun, we've known less days to sing God's praise than when we first began. We're never going to grow tired of singing in heaven.
Yeah.
Our eternity will not fade. Our worship will only continue, all because of who Jesus is and what he's done. And then the second one for me is "It is well with my soul."
Mm-hmm. Another good one.
And there's so much story behind it. We don't have time to go into the origins or circumstances behind its writing, but I love the song because it frames up for us the hope that we have in Jesus, regardless of what's going on in our lives, in the midst of deep pain. And we've all been through stuff, hard stuff. We're currently in a season that's hard, in my home. But I appreciate this song so much. A couple lines from it says, "When peace like a river attendeth my way," and then he shifts. "And when sorrows like sea billows roll, in the great times and the hard times," the song says, "whatever my lot, whatever's coming, whatever I'm in, whatever storm it is, he's taught me to say it is well with my soul." Mm-hmm. And God's with us. He's enough. And we're going to be okay. And then there's a line that says, "My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Oh, my soul." And his blood in the cross is enough for all of our sins, regardless of what we've done. His love for us is greater than whatever our past shame and secrets and regrets are. It's staggering. And so then the last line, "And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight. The clouds rolled back as a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul." Can't wait for that day. But it just speaks of the deep places and the unbelievable joy that passes, the peace that passes understanding, and just the incredible heartache that we walk through. But eyes up, hearts at rest. He loves us. The cross is enough. He's coming back. So,
yeah, I think the writing,
yeah,
there's songs are interesting. There's precision in the writing, and there's but to convey all that depth, and short word choice, there's economy of words, and that takes thinking. Good writing takes thinking, and I think years ago people weren't distracted. Yeah. So they got to sit with Scripture, think about what God had actually done for them, and then articulate it in a way that other people could lean in and go, "Yeah, that's my story too." And that's the beauty of hymns. I'm not saying the writing today is not good. We do have good worship stuff being cranked out, even on our team, but it is different. It's very different.
The gift that worship gives us, even though it's for Him and what God showers back, it's ridiculous.
Music's a fascinating gift from God.
Yeah.
And Paul tells us, do this for the edification of each other, for the encouragement of each other.
Yeah. Sing songs, hymns, spiritual songs. Yeah. Favorite gospel book and why?
Oh man, it's like a child.
I knew your brain was well, Mark does this. Here's the key.
I think that's important to say the distinctions. Matthew is brilliant because it's structured around 5 sermons. So
I love this. This is what we paid for today.
It's fascinating to me because you have a Jewish guy, who's writing to a Jewish audience. He wants to prove that Jesus is the Messiah. So he takes 5 of his sermons and comes in and out of them. They're Sermon on the Mount's the first one, so we all lean on that because it establishes the kingdom. The last one's a doozy, Matthew 23 through 25, where he just drills the Pharisees. But he also paints a picture of Judgment Day. There's only 6 judgment scenes in all the New Testament for us. And so this is one of them. Yeah. We better read that to understand how we're going to be rewarded or punished.
Yeah.
So I was hungry and you fed me.
Yeah.
It's simple. I was thirsty. So all of our ministry structures at Southland are built around Matthew 25. Yeah. People don't know that, but I want my friends to be rewarded.
Yeah.
When we get there, we're going to get in because of Jesus, but there's a reward on the other side of it. So Mark's fascinating because it's Cliff Notes. It's only 16 chapters. It's
elevator
yeah,
gospel.
Man, he's just giving you real quick snippets, but he wants to get you to the young guy at the cross that looks up and says, "Surely this man was the Son of God." So everything's aimed at that piece. Luke, all about the outsiders. So we all lean in on Luke because it's us. He's got Zacchaeus in there and all these fascinating people. Mm-hmm. I would probably say I lean towards John. I
knew it.
because of John.
It's his name.
Not even that. But
I'm kidding.
John in Revelation to me, were a big piece of my undergrad work at Ozark. And so just have a deeper understanding of him. The language is so simple. Mm-hmm. The Greek is like a 4th grader. Mm-hmm. He's a fisherman. He's not educated. And so it makes it really profound when you read it because it's written decades after the other one. So it's like John had read Matthew, Mark, and Luke. He's like,
it's not a synoptic gospel.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to talk about, he doesn't talk about the birth of Jesus.
Yeah.
Sermon on the Mount, on the parables.
It's not interested in the timeline.
No, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So the encounters that Jesus has with individuals.
Yeah.
And Nicodemus is such a primary character in the story.
Yeah.
He's in chapter 3, 7, and then he appears again at the end. Mm-hmm. And you get to see his progression towards faith, which I love. At first, he's like, I don't know who you are. Yeah. Something's going on. Then chapter 7, he's like, he stands up for Jesus among the Sanhedrin. Does our law condemn this man? Without first giving him a hearing?
Yeah. Cautiously standing up.
And then at the end, he helps remove him from the cross. Yeah. He identifies with him. So love that thread. That's like a movie script. Yeah. So I geek out on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
So John is
John's probably
would be your favorite.
Yeah, I would hate to say that. I love them all.
I mean, absolutely. This is a hard one for me too. I identify with Matthew. I don't know if it's because when I first got the Bible, eventually I just read straight from the very beginning. I didn't know any different back in '89. Yeah. It was like these first
something good about that. Yeah.
And then I got to Leviticus. I'm like, I don't even know what is happening right now. But when I got to the Gospels, it's where I started. And so Matthew just has been significant. He tells the story over and over again, and it's his story that's trapped in there in Matthew chapter 9. He throws a party after that with all his crazy friends, and some of them come to know the Lord. But he was a tax collector. Seems so far from Jesus. And yet Jesus calls him, and it's like that feels like my story,
Absolutely.
The Great Commission's in, Matthew 28. The parables are in there, which are so important. The Passion Week, he kind of really outlines all of that. But I won't go through all the other ones, but my last one, but I think it's John. I think John has become more of the one for me. I love John's intentions to spell out Jesus is the great I am. 7 times he declares. It's almost like it's his sermon. This is kind of his gift to the world. He says, I am the bread of life. I'm the light of the world. I'm the gate. I'm the good shepherd. I'm the resurrection and the life. I am the way, truth, and the life. And I'm the vine. And I love how John declares his identity in that book. He knows who he is in Christ, and John calls himself the disciple that Jesus loved. I think that's
so fun.
I bet these other guys are like, he loved us too, man.
Yeah.
But I love that. And
he
5 times, and 5 times in the Gospels, John 13, John 19, John 20, John 21, and John 21 again. He says he describes himself that way. It's such a powerful book.
Yeah, I can see why Matthew resonates with you. One of the things I've always thought's interesting in Matthew's structure. In Matthew 8 and 9, you have 6 miracles. Mm-hmm. And right in the middle, he takes out of chronology his calling.
Yeah.
He stuffs it in there. So then there's 7 miracles in his mind. Yeah. The fact that Jesus did all these amazing things, he sees him calling him to follow him as just as miraculous as the other things. Yeah. And we all should feel that way.
Yeah, I remember hearing about I don't remember who it was, but a preacher, and the title was the greatest miracle that God ever performed. And so what it does is it creates all these things. You go, gosh, was it creation? Was it,
walking on water?
Yeah. Was it
Saving
saving Egypt from, or saving Israel from Egypt, all those. And the greatest miracle, he talked about his life, about how God's saved and rescued me. Yeah. That's just subjectively, that was his greatest miracle. And I thought.
Yeah. Jesus' resurrection from the grave is so powerful, but it's also understandable. He's God.
Yeah.
The fact that he does that for you and me, raises us back to life out of the waters of baptism, that is the greatest miracle. Don't miss that.
Yeah.
Do not miss that.
Yeah. If we're ever wondering if there's miraculous things going on, just
He changed me.
yeah.
I'm a stubborn, prideful, arrogant, sinful man, and he changed me.
Yeah.
So,
all right, here's a question. Favorite Old Testament book? That's hard.
Yeah, I don't have one. I'm drawn more to the character development probably in the Old Testament. So I look at guys like Joseph and I go, okay, here's a guy who articulates for us what it's like to be misunderstood, misrepresented. All of us are going to have that at times. And he maintained integrity in the midst of it, and God used him, blessed him.
Over a long season.
Long period of time. So he's a type of Jesus in a really cool way. Moses is fascinating to me as a leader because for 40 years he had to lead people in a really difficult environment, really difficult attitudes among the people, and yet was faithful with his calling. I think about Daniel being pure as a young man in an impure, very impure world and culture. And we get to see his whole life. He stays the course. And I remember when I was in college reading that going, that's who I want to. I want to be like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I want to be like Daniel. Yeah. These are guys who just steady, nothing fancy. They just stay the course, and God blesses them. Obviously, Elijah to me is unique. Wow, man. And the reason I'm drawn to him is he had really high highs and really low lows. That's my life.
Yeah.
So I can relate to him. It's like, I wish that wasn't the case. I wish I was more, had a good equilibrium, but I don't. So I can relate to him.
Yeah. Isn't it great that you see all this, you see great things, but you also see the honesty and vulnerability of that the gospel, that the book presents for us. So that way we go, okay.
Nothing's polished. I've always said The Passion of the Christ is such a fascinating movie. I wish Mel Gibson had dabbled in the Old Testament and made some Old Testament narratives come to life, because there's probably not a rating you could apply to them. They're so raw, brutal. There's a lot of stuff about the Old Testament that I'm drawn to.
Yeah, I it's hard to go away from Genesis, because if you don't have Genesis 1:1, I mean, it sets the tone for everything else. But I did say these two Old Testament books, Daniel and Nehemiah, powerful book. God worked through those young, God-fearing men through hostile culture, just like you talked about. Daniel. That whole thing leading up to all the criticism he took as a leader because of the favor of God under a bunch of different kings, and they tried to trap him. He's praying, and so he ends up in this lion's den, and just that. Imagine what that's like for them to close that door. Yeah, for him to be in there all night and to know that God protected him. And then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I mean, they build this big statue, and Nebuchadnezzar's like, hey. When you hear it, everybody's going down and everybody's standing, and you see these people, you see just three standing. Everybody's on the ground, face down. And he loves them. He doesn't, he tried to give them another shot,
They refused.
And they refused. And then, he didn't want to do this, but he's like, listen, here's the deal. You either recant or you're going in there, And so they put him in that fire. And even before that, they'd say, oh, king, being respectful. We can't, we won't, and the God that we serve can rescue us. And then it's a statement, and that's so helpful for us just to understand suffering. But even if he doesn't, we're not bound down, and that creates so much courage to be obedient and to trust him because he's good. And then Nehemiah, powerful book, man used by God. He has some favor with God. He's serving as a cupbearer. He gets word about his city being laid in ruins, and he's broken about it, heartbroken, weeping, praying, confessing his own sins, asking God for what can he do, and then eventually, he goes to the king and says, "Hey, this is what's." King notices what's wrong, what's going on, and God gives him favor through the king, and he's bringing all this materials, and he shows up, and it's like you just see leadership on display. You see a guy go and survey what the brokenness to be aware of what's going on. He gathers people. He creates a plan. He casts vision. And, they're trying to rebuild this wall and even rebuild some of the city in the midst of all of it, and gathers them by families, and in the middle of all that, the reality is no matter what kind of work you do, when you're doing the right things, you're going to receive opposition, criticism, whatever it is. And then, there's a bunch of people there that are trying to destroy their work, and so everybody's getting nervous. They're getting tired. He has to recast vision day 26. They even try to get Nehemiah off the wall, and they're like, "Hey, we need to meet with you."
Mm-hmm.
And what they want to do is they want to either threaten him, kill him, or whatever.
Sure.
And he goes, I'm doing a great work. I can't come down.
Yeah.
He just learned the battles that he needed to fight, and this was not one of them.
Mm.
And I think there's something beautiful about focus and knowing that is white noise that I don't need, and I'm gonna press on, And so that's
sword in one hand, trowel in the other. He's a bad dude. He handcuffed himself to that wall and said, "I'm not coming down. God put me up here for a reason."
Yeah.
There's so much courage in the Old Testament. And so much common threads, to everyday life. It's really relatable.
Yeah.
And I'm glad God preserved it for us.
Yeah. All right. Here's one. This is an interesting question. Share 3 people at Southland, excluding your family, current staff, not me. Can't talk about me, or elders. All right, that have been really special to you, and they're not necessarily best friends. Just along the way, they may not even they may have gone to be with the Lord now. But are there a couple people that come to mind for you?
Oh man,
and why?
Yeah, there's hundreds of people that changed my life.
Yeah.
They're kind of links in a chain that God used to grow me up or change perspective. I think about Jana Hurt. Jana's dad committed suicide, and Jana has cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
And, difficult to communicate. Talking was a challenge for her, wheelchair bound, where her mom, Billy, took great care of her. And they were here every Sunday. And I'd go find her, and she'd give me a hug, and I'd stand there and let her talk. And, man, what a blessing and a gift she was in my life. Young man in our church whose mom committed suicide, and he stayed the course and was faithful to Jesus, married a great girl in our church, and then they lost a daughter who was 3 to cancer, and a guy who had every reason to be down or angry. He's a joyful, good man, young man. I look up to him, respect him a ton for how he grew his faith in the midst of hardships. Tommy and Judy Weaver, they led my wife to Christ when she was a little girl and brought her to church every Sunday for years. And they created a place for her at their table. And every night she could go eat in a home where mom and dad were healthy and where the home was not volatile. And even though she had to go home at some point, she had a place she could run to. They're still here. And they're giants to us, and just humble, sweet people, and funny. Tommy's one of the funniest guys you'll ever be around. He's just got corny jokes, and so we go to dinner with them every once in a while. But just to see them, and they're an anchor in this church that my wife was able to find stability with.
What a blessing!
Yeah,
man.
so I could go on. Lots of people.
Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned Ernie Coburn, Buddy Mossberger, Sherman Davis. These are men who helped us transition the leadership structure at this church, and in doing so, sacrificed a lot of preference. But they could see the future, and even when I couldn't, and they structured things in such a way and gave up those preferences for the good of this place, and did that consistently. Man, I would die for each of those men in a heartbeat. I mean, I trust them with everything, and I've seen them in the hardest moments in this church's history, and had the courage to just do what was right, not what was popular, not what was easy, what's right, what's going to honor God. And real men. Real men.
I love that. I made a longer list too. Jonathan Hancock was the first guy.
I love it. He comes to my office once a week.
He's in our Glow ministry. He's the best. He loves talking about UK sports. Got a huge heart. Yeah, he loves to sing. He leads worship for their Glow ministry stuff, our special needs stuff. I see him all the time. He's at the Lexington campus a lot. He's been through Fight Club. He constantly is asking me, when's he going to come on the podcast? I need to have him on at some point. So
I call him the mayor. He's the mayor of Southland. He just runs it.
There's a picture of him right now on our slides before service starts, and so I love it. I'm like, dude, look at you. You're a star.
Famous. Start signing autographs.
That's right. She's not a staff member anymore. She just retired recently, Laura Mack. Laura McIntyre is, man. I mean, very few people work as hard. She has served in so many different areas in our church, and toward the end there, when she was doing what she was doing, I mean, she oversaw the benevolence process, the counseling process, funerals. I mean, and the amount of care that comes with her. Nonstop, always on the phone, always meeting needs, tip of the spear for all the things that are going on. I have so much respect for her, and
you want there to be degrees of reward in heaven for. She's a great example. We come in and we do the funeral. She's lined everything up. All the details are taken care of. The funeral homes are contacted. The families have been loved and provided for. And she literally just wants to stand over here in a corner and not be noticed. And it's like, man, may God richly bless Laura, man, for what she did for this church. Yeah.
We get emails about every day, funerals. Yeah. And she started that. And the amount of detail and intentionality, the connections,
the people,
Southland-wise, staff that follow up, information, she's going to guard the dignity of these families, but just to give us clarity as to who they are, where they are, what their connection points are, and different things like that. She's just really helpful for us.
This is the smallest big church I've ever seen. We've been able to keep the feel of South, and even though it's grown to a massive size, we've been able to keep the feel small. And she's huge. That little paragraph in there where she talks about all the people that are connected to this person that's died, that helps all of us go, okay, we need to make a lot of touches here to make sure everybody's cared for.
Yeah. Here's another one, James Dickey.
Yeah.
James Dickey he's been an elder. He was on my prayer team, super country. Just lost his wife not that long ago.
One of the best.
Such a good man. If you want to know what kind of man he is, he was meeting with a guy that he didn't even really know, and he found out this guy needed a kidney. And he
gave it to him.
He ended up giving him a kidney.
Yeah.
He only got 2 of them.
Yeah.
And
the fact that their blood types matched and everything worked. Yeah, that's James.
How generous and how caring. But he's so kind, and he loves people well. He's got a heck of a heart. He's fun as can be.
Yeah.
Can't do email to save his life. I was trying to get him to make sure, hey, when you come to prayer team, just let me know. Go ahead. He's like, I'll just be there. That's right. So I don't care. Another lady, her name's Karen Doyle. One of my students back in the day was Caroline Doyle, and I just saw Karen this past weekend. Every time I'm with her, it's just rich. I feel like she's been with Jesus.
Yeah, she's an encourager.
Super encourager. She's been through so much.
It's so interesting you brought her up. I bumped into her at a fundraiser the other night, and it was like I hadn't missed a day with her, and I haven't seen her in years, but we just picked right up. And I mean, she's wonderful. Yeah.
Great mom, great wife, kingdom worker, servant, humble as can be. And I love her prayer life. I love her intentionality to the Holy Spirit. It's really, really good. 2 more. And I could go on too. Shanna Tarvin. I get to see her all the time. Shanna is here. She serves around here all the time. Shanna.
She's our sister.
Yeah. Back in the day, she was in a really bad accident, and so she's been in recovery mode for a very long time. I think it's been 31 years since this happened. She just had an anniversary, but she comes up here all the time, and she does all kinds of stuff. Works up here every day.
Delivers our mail.
She runs around, makes sure that all the rooms, all the different kind of stock rooms have everything set up and things like that. She's got her cart. She walks around. I mean, there's not a laugh. There's not a more identifiable laugh. And I mean, she laughs with all that she is. And
it makes us all laugh too.
She could be down this hallway, and we would. She's the easiest laugh to identify out of any laugh all over the world, and so it's just a lot of joy.
Yeah, it would take her 10 minutes because of her disability to walk from here to the stairwell.
Yeah,
and there's not complaining. There's joy. She pushes that cart, comes and checks on all of us.
Yeah. She always says, "Hey, is there anything you need?"
Yeah, she's a bright spot.
She's a gift. Dwayne Ingram. I don't see him that often now, but when I did prayer team stuff, he would. He led a lot of the times when people would come in and they would ask to be anointed with oil in prayer. Mm-hmm. And I've just sat in so many things. I just watched the tenderness and how he takes every family and walks with them. He's really doesn't have anything to learn from me. But I remember just really challenging our prayer team to ask more than just, hey, what's going on? How can I pray for you? To find out where people are and to go, hey, listen, have you ever made a decision to follow Jesus? And if you haven't, can we talk about that? So I literally, was just doing some training with my team. The very next Sunday, he does that. He ends up baptizing somebody right there. I mean, just
and he's like genuinely a gentle man.
Yeah.
Like he's a true Southern gentleman. He's kind.
And he's a big deal in our world, but you would never know it.
No, he's one of the smarter people in our church. He's a horticultural expert at University of Kentucky. Yeah.
I could go on, and you could too. But here's a question, and to be honest with you, I don't have an answer for this. I don't know what it would be. What's one of your favorite moments at Southland? You've been here a long time.
Yeah.
I've been here a long time too. You've been here longer than me.
Yeah, baptizing my kids,
Yeah.
probably towards the top of that
Yeah.
list, getting to hear them and confess. And we did those privately in the pond just as a family, which was special. Man, cutting up the banknote on the debt. That was a significant moment in 2017 on stage.
Thank you, Jesus. Yeah.
Not long after that, hiring Nickel, him coming back, that was a big moment for me and I think for the church. But to me, it's not the stuff that probably everybody sees.
Yeah.
I'm more drawn to every individual baptism still gets me.
Yeah.
Weddings and funerals, the hospital calls. It's such a privilege to be able to meet people in those horrible moments and be with them.
Yeah.
Doing some counseling over the years.
You did that yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
At
it's
a
hard.
long morning, yeah. And, eating in people's homes, that's where you get to know people. And then having them in our home, probably towards the top of the list would be the young men that I've been able to invest in. I've probably got 20 young guys that are now, many of them dads, and I get pictures of their kids, and it's just a joy. They're solid. But I got to go a little bit deeper with them and more meaningful relationships. I can't do that for everybody, but those younger guys that God put in my path, they're difference makers.
Yeah.
And then the young couples that Allison and I, we've always had a young couples Bible study in our house, and it's a revolving door of people because they eventually get old enough where they don't need to be there. But when we bump into those couples, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
They are such a source of joy for us relationally. And I think probably for the rest of our lives, we will always invest in young couples.
Yeah.
Something meaningful about that ministry. Yeah. Now, preaching...
It's funny. What's
I
funny
mean,
is that you didn't bring any of that up.
No, and that's okay. I enjoy it. I can live without it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, I can. The center of the stage is what it is. But you got to be careful with that thing.
You do.
And I didn't get into ministry to do that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be with people.
Yeah. I love that. I don't know what I would say other than it is the stories, favorite moments. We have them every weekend.
Yeah, man, life change.
If you ask me, hey, when's the last time you cried? I'd say, if I had to guess, it would be Sunday, or yesterday, depending on who you meet with and talk with.
I was with a family, I had a suicide yesterday, and you walk into that house and it's just shock, pure shock and hard, but real faith. I was encouraged, and that's why I cried yesterday. They're crying, but I cried because they genuinely have only Jesus to put their hope in right now, and it's so sincere, and I love seeing that in people. Can't manufacture that.
No, this may feel similar, but what are a couple of your favorite events that our church has put on over time here? And again, it may have been something a long time ago or something we more
meal
recently
pack.
done.
I mean, when we pack 1 million meals to feed kids, I wake up every day and think 3,500 kids are getting to eat today because our church shows up
every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
And they get a healthy meal that we maybe wouldn't think tastes good, but it's all they've got. And man, proud of that.
Yeah.
And part of the reason we did it, the secondary reason, first reason was Jesus told us to, and we wanted to make sure kids were taken care of. Second reason was I wanted our kids to be able to serve alongside of adults.
Yeah.
And so that was the vision behind it. My kids were little at the time, and we could do some service projects, but it wasn't the same. And so when we kind of put that together and met with Lifeline to begin to build it out, the joy I had standing next to my kids the very first meal pack, it was
they get to serve and do the same things that everybody else is doing.
So we really want people serving. We think that's really important. So that I would say that years ago we challenged our church to adopt 1,000 kids, and I just kind of had this epiphany moment in college where adoption is a dominant theme in the New Testament. God's called us into his family, invited us into his family, and made a place for us in his home. Right. So we've all been adopted. And I realized that's the heart of the Father. Well, it should be the heart of the church too. And, I sat through a meeting on foster care, and we do a lot of foster care work in this church. Amazing people. But just watching our church adopt 1,000 kids in, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 years, and a lot of them are on staff, and so you get to see the joy. And I think we're getting ready to ramp that back up again.
Which is pretty exciting.
So, having seen different iterations of that, man, it's hard not to be proud of that.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is Jesus Prom.
Absolutely.
Powerful night. We go all out. It's a throwdown. It's a banger.
It's fun.
I love how quickly our volunteers, that list gets taken. I mean, people just go, I'm coming.
Yeah.
We'll do whatever, It's a party, man. I mean, the games, the food, this last one was Cirque du Soleil, and so there's people doing
juggling,
and on stilts, and all these. It's the sweetest thing that reminds us of the heart of God toward all of us. But
it's heaven on earth.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't enjoy of Jesus Prom was getting bit by that sweet promer this last time. Sent me to 2 different urgent cares to get checked out. Want to make sure that I was, but I've forgiven her. I've worked through it.
It's good.
But
when my son was probably 6,
yeah,
he came up to me. His eyes were huge, and he was like, "Dad, there's a naked lady in the concourse." And I said, "There's a what?" And I couldn't hear because the music was so loud. He said, "There's a naked lady in the concourse." I said, "Well, don't look at her."
Yeah.
I didn't know. It was just so funny because it's like, where else? But I was so happy, to be in a church where it's a safe place for everybody to be who God made them to be. So.
A couple of more. It's in my student ministry days here, CIY, going on these trips, retreats that we've done, mission trips to Ireland, to Haiti. Probably my favorite 2 things more recently would be this honor that I get to have with just teaching Fight Club at all of our campuses. It's a joy. We're over at 9. We got done at 9. I left here at 11. Monday night, just watching guys get it, contend for them, seeing the lights come on, giving them tools, equipping them to go, we can do this, and to see them do this together, and to see groups leave those 15 weeks and stay connected and get serving and love their families well and release their grip on their shame to walk in freedom is so good. And then probably the best retreat I've ever been on was the one we did in 24, Battle Ready, our men's retreat, almost 700 guys. And it was such a cool thing to see all of our campuses come together. And, I got to play some, and there's plenty of other men's stuff going on beyond what I've done, but it's cool to see all these guys that I've gotten to be a part of Fight Club and see them there and them bringing their friends. And we had a lot of baptisms and just from the jump, I remember so much spiritual attack as I'm coming into that weekend. And the very first song that was sung, I'm up front on the left-hand side. And there's nothing like hearing men
worship.
Resound in worship. And I just was undone. I'm like, I knew all that was bull crap from the enemy, but they're ready for this. They're hungry for this. And I love what God's doing in the men in our church. It's such a joy to get to do that. So,
well, it's a good thing for me to be able to say, it's really hard to pinpoint why our church grows for certain seasons, but we're in an explosive season of growth again.
Yeah.
And I would say a lot of it, brothers, due to what you've done with Fight Club. It's really obvious to me that what we're seeing with the men in our church right now goes back to you laying this foundation and getting these men to a place of freedom and then them multiplying that in other men. So kudos, man. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. Couple favorite life change stories. It could be baptisms, marriages turned around. You've had thousands of interactions and stories, but outside your family, 2 or 3 stories that just really stagger you, blow you away.
Yeah, I think yours is towards the top of that list, knowing what you came out of and having a front row seat to you and your marriage and your ministry. It's incredible. That'd be up there. I think there was a woman years ago who came forward on a Sunday. Her husband had strapped a bomb to himself, and he hugged her and detonated the bomb and blew himself up and, just maimed her physically. And so she was wrestling with forgiveness issues. And I was so angry at her husband for her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yet I had to lead her towards Jesus and to a place where she could learn to forgive. But it took a long time. And you think about those kind of stories and what it takes for certain people to genuinely forgive another human being.
Yeah.
Obviously not trust ever again with that guy, but stories like that stay with you. And I've had not dozens, thousands of interactions with people where you're just, it's amazing. They're still walking. They're still upright. Most people would be in the fetal position. And not only upright, they're joyful.
Yeah.
They're totally transformed. Yeah. And when you see that, people will say, "Do you ever doubt?" I'm like, "No, man, I can't. I've seen God do too many things for me.
I got too many.
Yeah, for me to have my scale tips.
Yeah,
really far towards Jesus. So, It's over and over again.
Yeah, if we doubt, it's our problem. It's not his.
It's not his.
We've seen too much.
He's proven himself
over and over again. As you're talking about just the hard things, and it's not exactly the same question, but it's like I was in Seattle when this happened. I was playing that church out there, and you were here. But that plane crash. We just had a plane crash in Louisville, and I mean, you were front and center with all those.
Yeah, man, that was one of the worst moments of my life. That Sunday, I had to go down to the Campbell house and announce to the families that there were no survivors, and 49 people dead, and 49 people in this small community died.
Yeah,
and I had
that's ripples.
Yeah, I had 11 funerals in 9 days. Gosh, and so you walk through that, and our church just rallied around those people. Yeah. We poured out so much love to those folks, and we still have a strong connection with a lot of them. Yeah. That was a big. My wife's story is an unbelievable story too, and I don't talk about it ever. But someday there'll be an opportunity for her to share it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and I get to be around her every day. And
only
see
the Lord, man.
Only God.
Yeah,
only God.
Yeah. It's crazy to think sometimes about just how people grew up or what's going on and what's happened to people, and you just go, really?
Yeah, Allison should be an angry, mean person. She's the kindest, most joyful, smart person.
She is. So. Yeah. I was trying to think about this too. I've done a lot of baptisms as well, all of them meaningful. One I did 5 years ago. It's when I was doing prayer, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But there was an elderly woman who had a walker, very frail, in her 80s, wanted to be baptized. And I mean, I'm like, there's a lot of steps here, And so her family were very concerned about all that. And so we get her in the water during communion. The lights are down, and get her settled. We get in there pretty early, and the lights come up and during the service. And so, when we do that, I walk her through the great her confession, and she's crying. I mean, sweet as can be, real soft spoken. I baptize her, and then everybody claps, and she turns, and I could tell she was like, I don't know about these steps, and she's wet, pretty overwhelmed. And I just leaned over in her ear and said, "Hey, is it okay if I pick you up?"
It's awesome.
She goes, and she's probably 85 pounds.
Yeah.
She goes, "Sure, honey." So I just scoop her up. I'm like, man, I hope I don't fall.
Yeah, yeah.
But I get her up the steps. We get up to the top, and I'm thinking, well, we still got to go down steps, and we got different material on these steps now, but it's still a little slippery. So I just walk her all the way down the steps. Her family's there, and get her a bunch of towels, dry her off, and when we were done, she was back there getting cleaned up, and her daughter came out, and she said, "I just got to tell you something." She's laughing. She said that her mom said, "How many people get baptized by a handsome, strong man? Then he carries you out of the baptistry."
It's so awesome.
But I just, you just do what you do, And so I don't care, But
I baptized Matt Bradford recently, and Matt, lost both of his legs and his eyesight in the war, and he's been through a lot, man.
Yeah.
And we've been close to him over the years, and to stay in the water with him, he's holding himself up on the edge, and take him down and get him back to the bathroom, and I said, "Man, do you need help getting your pants on, brother to brother?" And he goes, "It's a whole lot easier, John, when you don't have legs." And I thought, man, when you can laugh and cut up about that, there's the joy that Jesus brings to people.
Yeah.
He's got a hard life, but man, he's a life giver.
Yeah. I've got him on my list to have him on the podcast. So
that'd be good.
Look forward to doing that. I think here's a couple things. I think one of the hardest questions this is to boil down a bunch of years of ministry, having a front row seat to seeing God work in powerful ways. And so I see people so far from God, marriages are so over and broken. Things are so completely ridiculous to try to process, gigantic steps of surrender, to see people lay that stuff down and just take a step. See men and women begin to walk in freedom from deep woundedness and abuse. There are some stories that I've called you because I can't tell my wife some of this. I've called you and go, "Man,
I tell somebody,
never heard this before."
Yeah,
and I hate it for this guy, what he's been through or whatever. But to see God heal marriages and change the whole direction of someone's story is such a beautiful thing. I got to eat with a guy, McGee Poole, who just celebrated 8 years of sobriety. And he came in the Fight Club, man. He was broken. He was kind of mean, to be honest. I mean, one of my tables was like, he's kind of a butthole, But to watch him partner with Jesus, to get in community, to watch him parent his daughter who's getting ready to graduate, grow in his relationship with Jesus, to watch McGee. My kids are now in middle school, but he's been serving them in children's and then he's now in student ministries. They were getting ready to leave for a trip. Our summer trips last summer. He sent me a text and he just said, "I'm sitting here just bawling in the parking lot before it starts. I can't believe I get to go do this. I'm so honored that God would use my life. I just love that about him. And we could tell 50 stories. Sure. We could keep going. But I love the church, and I love our church because he trusts us, and we're just trying to be the best stewards. But even in all the pain, it's in the blood. I'm so honored to see lives change the way that they are here. I mean, it's
a blessing.
It's
God. We're not perfect. We're far from it. But man, he's done an amazing work here.
But man, he'll show up where he's welcomed, and we welcome him.
Absolutely.
We want what he has for us. So, last one. What are some of the ministries or missions that we support? Maybe strategic partners, things like that have been so pleasing to see Jesus work through them that you want to highlight or that you're super proud of?
Yeah, I'd start with Sayer Christian Village. It's something that Southland was instrumental in starting. It's a nursing facility and retirement home for older adults, Christian adults. And man, when you see aging parents and aging loved ones need a place to go, it's such a welcoming, warm place. And the staff there's amazing. Karen does a great job. I've been in and out of there 1,000 times over the years, and so grateful for them. Christian Student Fellowship at the University of Kentucky, man, it's a beacon of hope and light on a dark campus. They do ministry so well and so uniquely with food. Food's the center part of what they do. They just get students in, they feed them, and then, man, it's all Jesus. And they equip them, too. It's more than just evangelistic. They get kids ready for life and teach them how to be light in the midst of the darkness in the classrooms and the crazy agendas on campus. Brian and that team, man, I'd sing their praises all day. Natalie's Sisters is really just special to me because I love Janie.
Make sure people know what that is because not everybody knows.
Yeah, it's a quiet ministry that we're careful with. Natalie's Sisters, it's basically an outreach to women who are in cycles of prostitution. And we partner with the police department, and we try to help the men who are hiring these women to get healthy and whole so that the demand goes down for it. But a lot of abuse, a lot of drug issues related to these women have just had hard lives. And it would be very easy to not pay attention to them. And Janie was on our staff for a long time and helped us.
She was one of my high school leaders.
And
then it came on staff.
She's kept me at Southland in so many regards because I need to be around people who are reaching the overlooked and the marginalized. Otherwise, we're not being true to who Jesus wants us to be. She's on the front lines, and she loves being there. And I'm just so grateful that she's our sister. Could tell stories about her. Rachel Smith, Refuge Medical Clinic. When we had the idea to start a medical clinic and provide free health care, we went to a little clinic here in town, and she was on staff. And I remember telling Gary Black, because Gary went with me, this is our person. I mean, she's so genuinely joyful, and she gets it. I mean, she wants to help people restore their dignity. And when they're poor and they can't get health care and they're just struggling, they get sad and angry. Man, she just helps lift them out of all that. And she has built a dynamic ministry that is literally a model for any free healthcare system in the United States. I'm just proud to be associated with her. She's a sister. And those would be four that jump off the page. There's, so many cool ministries in our community.
We have a lot of strategic partners in all of it. We have strategic partners that we help support that kind of come from South, and then we have strategic partners at every campus, at 2 or 3 that we are invested in. I would echo the same thing. CSF. Brian Marshall, Lydia, that's on. She's on our weekend worship staff. She leads a lot, and she's great. Jason Eaton does that a lot too for that ministry. Brian, that team. Man, college is such a significant time. Those 4 years will set the tone for the next 40.
Absolutely.
And if you don't capture reach, then we got to figure out how to rescue them. And then Aaron Hogue, his team, their efforts with FCA, and not just at UK's campus with all their athletes, although that's a cool thing. Just the way
coaches.
That he helps, coaches and it's like it's funny, all these different people come down. Sean Umbrell's another one of these guys that I think is so significant for our church. I'm circling back, but just his involvement at UK and but I think about Aaron and just you see him in the water all the time, baptizing an athlete. He's
constant.
He's on. I see him on TV. He didn't care about any of that stuff. He just wants to serve Jesus, loves people. is so grateful for the opportunities that God gives him.
He's evangelistic.
Yeah.
That's what I love about him. He wants to get lost kids to Christ, and he's just so passionate. And God blesses his work. They're a joy to be partnered with.
Yeah. I'll mention something that you're going to know. I've not been to Masana. I know all about the story, but I remember sitting in a lead team meeting when we were talking about just what to do with some money that we had. And I don't remember how it all went, but in my mind, I'm going, why don't we just give the whole thing to them? Mm-hmm. And somebody uttered that, and we're like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And so we wrote the biggest check that I think we had written, at least until that point. If that's right, it's $1 million. We wrote $1 million to them, and then we got to tell Mark first.
Yeah.
And by the way, I mean, Mark, we just lost him not too long ago. I mean, one of the best people on the planet too, and the way that he helps us love the world and bring the mission of Jesus everywhere. His strategic mindset, the way that he loves people, his people connections. I mean, good gosh. I mean, just
he's an ambassador.
But we got to tell him, and then he got to tell them. You got to tell, Andrea and is it
Hareel?
Hareel, yeah, Hareel that, and that was super special. And then, but we just have incredible partners and some church plants that, this one that's in Frankfurt. I mean,
booming.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many, but there's so many of them. It's so fun to be able to go, hey, we're here, we love you. How can we support you? How can we get behind you? And sometimes it's even through the generosity of our church to be able to do so. But it's a good gig we get to have. So, final words: encourage, challenge our locker room community. A bunch of dudes. Some of these guys are in high school, young adult, college. Some of these are new believers. Some are grown men trying to figure this out. Anything that you want to say just to kind of wrap us up?
Yeah. There's a passage at the end of 1 John chapter 2 where John writes, "The world and its desires pass away, but the man who does the will of God lives forever."
Yeah.
And so you have this real clear dichotomy. Yeah. You can do what the world wants you to do, and it will lead you to a heartache and headache. Or you can just be faithful and follow Jesus, and you'll live forever.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Don't make it too challenging and difficult. Yeah. The other passage is in 1 Timothy. I love this one where Paul says, I have fought the good fight. I finished the race. I've kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the righteous judge will award to me on that day, but not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing.
Yeah.
I want every man in our church to be able to confidently say, man, I've fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I've kept the faith. Mm-hmm. And that begins now. You don't have to keep living the way you've been living. You get to decide, I'm going to live for Jesus. And once you do that, it's a way better life. The quality's better. Yeah. And on the back end, there's quantity. You're going to get a crown that will never perish, spoil, or fade, according to Peter. So that's my challenge to men. Just follow Jesus and keep it simple.
That's good. It made me think about how I wrapped up 2 weeks ago. Your work is your mission field. I read a chapter of a book. It's Batterson's book, Not Safe. And he's telling a story about these missionaries. It's the first chapter's called Pack Your Coffin. And this guy's going to these islands in the South Pacific, and they're never coming back. They know that they're never coming back. It's a one-way trip to share the gospel, and most of them will be martyred. And A.W. Milne, he tells a story of heading to this island where every other missionary that's been there have been killed. Mm-hmm. And somehow, in some way, for 35 years, he invests in them. He pours out his life. There's an openness to the gospel. This tribe begins to change. And he passes away. And then they they bury him in the middle of the community there, which was rare. Mm-hmm. And on his epitaph, it said, when he came, there was no light. And when he left, there was no darkness.
Great line. It's one of my favorite stories.
Gosh, man.
Yeah, and go today on YouTube and just type in Samoan churches singing.
Yeah, okay.
And you will see the fruit of his labor.
Yeah.
There's whole islands that all they know is the love of God. And man, if they're not leading worship in heaven, I want to be in the Samoan church because it's unbelievable how they sing, and they you'll recognize the songs as they sing, but it's beautiful.
Hey, listen, man, that's how I went. I didn't trick you.
I'm surprised, but I'm also
grateful.
I was like, great.
I'm kidding. No, that's it, man.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks for jumping on.
What?
No better way to wrap up season 15, dude. I love you. Grateful for you.
Love you too.
Locker Room will be back season 16. We're getting ready to get our driver's license season 16. We'll be back in the middle of January. So enjoy the holidays. Stay after it. Keep doing what you're doing. If this podcast encourages you, I'd love to hear from you. If you wrestle with Christianity, need help taking your next step, want to be baptized, send us an email at lockerroom@southland.church. And again, if this podcast has encouraged you, this episode, share it with a friend. You never know how an episode like this is going to help somebody else that you care about. Thanks for listening. Get after it. We'll catch you next time on Locker Room.